All right, go for it.
Okay, so I'll just go over a brief example of Rholang. Basically, I did this because I had the idea that all the developer tutorial was unnecessarily complicated at some parts, and at other parts it was just going way too quick. So I wrote a small tutorial on Rholang, which I at least understood. I'm still working on it. I have to improve some small things. I didn't have time to do it, but I would like to go over it today, just in this session. So I have like 5% left in my battery. If I'm away, I think Jake can take over and finish the example. All right? Okay, let me share my screen here. Yes. Okay. Okay, so here on Arch.cloud, and what you're seeing on line 1 is we're defining a new name called Hello World. So when we're seeing this, it gets implemented in the interpreter. It doesn't get implemented actually as Hello World. It gets implemented as a kind of long string of names, of letters and numbers. But I think Hello World is we're like referring by its actual name by saying Hello World. It's like a pointer. Important is that the Hello World is called a private variable, and you'll be able to use this private variable without the quotes which start on without the brackets starting on line 1 and ending on line 5. So in between there you can refer to Hello World and you will actually use a channel. So line 2, we're creating a contract. And a contract basically is nothing else than we're listening on the channel Hello World for one parameter, and we call it return. It's like the for expression, but it's like syntactic sugar for that. So what you see here, like we are expecting a variable return, and then afterwards here we're sending on return, and the send is specified by the bang. That means sending on. And what do we send? We send hello world. But since return is nowhere defined, we don't know at this point what is return. This actually doesn't do anything, but this contract expects to have return kind of passed in, which will be a channel which we can send. So let me run this. Yeah, so the only thing what you're seeing here is we are creating new x0, which is like the hello world, and then we're listening for on channel x0 for a pattern called x1, and then we're sending on x1 hello world. But since there's no match here, we're actually not sending anything yet. Like there's no transaction happening. Let me see. Where do I have the other parts? Yes. Good. All right. So line 6 till line, well, let's say 10, we are basically invoking a contract. Now we do this first of all by creating a new channel. We call it greet. And so this is like a new channel, just like Hello World. It's like a real channel. And then here we're sending on Hello World, and we're sending, let's say, greet here is a process. And since we do the quoting, it means we're sending a name or not. Jake, can you help me here?
Other way around, yeah. So greet, when you say new greet is a name, and then when you start, you're creating a process. So we send processes.
Yes, so we create a name, and then by having the quoting, we go from the name to a process, and a process can be sent on a channel. So that's all right, because now here, let me, if we delete this, if you run it now, you'll see that there's nothing in storage anymore. Oh. Hello world greets 10, 13. Ah, okay. Yeah, so there's no storage content because this guy listening on hello world get matched with this guy sending on hello world. And now if you do this, here we're listening on the channel greet. So this one will be replaced by greet. We are listening for a certain value, and this value is a process, but by having like the add in front, like add value is taken together, it's a name, it's a quoted process. And then here we're sending to the system channel standard out, we're sending whatever this value was. So we're sending process value. And since here we're receiving value, so greet will be value, will be hello world. This we bound to the quoted process add value, and this we send to standard out. And then we expect, since that's the behavior of standard out, to have printed hello world on the terminal.
You'll have to new one of those, right?
Yeah, I need to new brackets here. Yeah. Well, I wrote it down in one file, which I'll ask Jake to put in as a description maybe in this video. So that's how I understood hello world. I created some more contracts. I also created a calculator and actually 2 different implementations of this calculator. So maybe next time we can go over this. I'll just put it also in this tutorial. I have 2% battery left, so I made it.
Time's running short. Awesome. No, thank you so much, Rinke, for giving us this example hello world contract.
So I've got a question about when we ran it the second to last time, if someone wants to take that. Is that okay now?
Yeah, sure.
So when before we had line 7 and 8, where we actually gave basically where we listened for the return value and printed it, when we ran, there was nothing left in storage. And I thought that when we declared a contract on line 2, that would be left in storage so that we could call it over and over again. Is that not the case?
Yeah, so that should be left in storage. Yeah. I guess I'm not sure how we're getting storage contents here in this current node and in our chain.cloud. Yeah, I mean, that is still in, since it's a persistent 4 that's listening, that is still stored in our space at that point.
Okay, cool. So maybe afterwards I'll play with it and see if I can call it a couple times, and if it actually works, or if it really does leave the storage, like that's more of a bug thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does work to call it multiple times
cool.
in there, but I don't know. Maybe it's showing the wrong things in the active right there. So that'd be good to know. Okay, well, it looks like Rinke dropped off. Oh no, Rinke's still there. Great.
It's my phone.
Nice. Okay, great. Hello. Okay, so I realized we have some new people who haven't introduced themselves to the group yet. So hey, and also Rinke, could you mute? You have some pops and stuff in the background. Yeah, so if people haven't introduced themselves yet and would like to introduce themselves to the group, that would be a great time to do that.
Hey everyone, I'm Jacob.
Hey Jacob.
Have
Davi.
no programming background, but I'm excited to learn more.
Great. So yeah, what are you hoping to learn from this group? What are you hoping to take away from this group in general? I'm trying to figure out what the future is going to look like for it. So
I guess just learn a little bit about what the experience of learning Rholang and Archain is like. I've heard that it's a little different for programmers, and I just want to know for myself what it's like. I don't expect to become a very proficient programmer, but who knows, maybe.
Cool, great. So Rholang programming, awesome. Awesome. Davi, would you like to give an introduction?
Sure. I'm a developer. I met Jake at a Mad Hacks event, something like this one. I have a universal compiler called Modsplan that I developed several years ago and hadn't done much with it recently. But I was interested in seeing if it could parse Rholang, and I've got it doing that, and I'm using it to translate Rholang into an alternative spec that I call Rho2.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to, if we have time at the end here, I think we should have you give an introduction to that. There's a few other people on the call who have introduced themselves here before. Megan, hey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Megan. I'm a member of the Arching Cooperative, and I'm building an accounting application. So I'm just here to try and get a better understanding of Rholang.
Cool, awesome. Let's see. Ajishkar, would you like to introduce yourself? Or Human?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm Human. I'm interested in category theory, topology, and I came upon PyCalculus just a few months ago, reading a paper by Mike Stay, and not a paper, it was his dissertation under John Boyce. He has mentioned PyCalculus in connection to thermodynamic, and recently I just learned that there is a whole connection between cryptoeconomics and PyCalculus, concurrent computation. And I'm new, I'm not a developer, and I'm new to this area, and I'm hoping to learn more in this reading group.
Awesome. And so your background is more like the category theory math stuff, right?
Yes.
Cool. Great. Awesome. Yeah, it seems like, we kind of have a really awesome intersection of a group of people who are like Arching community members who are excited to build stuff with Rholang, and then people who are also interested in sort of like learning the mathematical foundations. And I'm definitely interested in exploring both directions, and I'm hoping to keep both groups engaged. So yeah, I'd like feedback from you, from anyone, via email, Discord. You can get at me about how I can be meeting your needs. Yeah, I have one thing to share quickly here that's kind of exciting, and what I think the direction of the group, where I think the direction of the group is going to go next. So there's a pull request right now in the RChain repo for a sort of first pass at a K framework definition of the of Rholang. So this is the document that's hoping to sort of be the be all and end all sort of syntactical guide for Rholang. It still needs a lot of work. It still doesn't have near the functionality that the current node does implemented in it, but this gives a decent idea probably of what's to come. And I'm hoping to, and I can post this link here, and I'm hoping to sort of take this group further into Rholang to both be able to sort of get hands-on experience in defining things like pi calculus and rho calculus and Rholang, and then using those definitions to explore further into the papers and explore further into things like biosimulation and, you know, using like theorem prover tools like Cope and Isabel to sort of dig deeper in that direction. And then also sort of if you have the K framework or foundations, that'll give you sort of an easier into understanding like exactly what the Rholang syntax and semantics are, which will be important for programming later on if you want, you know, sort of the clearest, closest to the actual reality programming language specification. So yeah, I'll just post that link here. And then Davi, do you want to give a quick introduction into the Modsplan stuff and some of the alternative syntax that you've been working on?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Trying to get the screen sharing. Uh-oh. Rat. It's not. How do I share a screen?
There should be a pop. There you go.
Is that working?
Yep, I am seeing your screen.
Okay.
The text is a bit small, but.
Oh. Oh, you mean the type is a bit small?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that can be fixed. Oh, shoot. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah. Zoom meetings are.
I don't have the key implemented, but this will work. Is that better?
Yeah, getting there. How do other people feel? Can you see it?
Yeah, same. That's getting better.
Okay, I wanted to share a link where you can look it up on GitHub.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I think you sent that to me, right?
Yeah. I can find the chat. I lost my Zoom window.
All right, I think I have the link that you're looking for here. You're looking for the Modsplan compiler tree Rholang.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Right. I'll post it. Here you go. Oops.
I think I just posted it, actually. It should be there.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. When I'm screen sharing, can I not see you guys? It disappeared.
Yeah, sometimes there's like sort of a little tinier minimized window that's off to the side sometimes, but yeah,
Lost it.
I don't know.
So if you're yeah, actually we need the link to sorry.
It's all right.
Okay, there's a direct link to the syntax that I'm showing you in case it's okay. All right. So this is Modsplan syntax, slightly different than other ones you might have seen, but it's a basic DNF grammar. And this is a grammar that's actually used by the compiler in order to parse this. So what I want to show is an example. How do I get rid of this thing? There. Okay, so here is cell.row. Also is not big enough.
And cell.row is in the directory that I just shared too, so you can pull that up.
That's right. That's right. So be able to bring that up. So that is the current existing syntax. And what I've been experimenting with is an alternative syntax. Is that visible? Can people read this?
Not really, but I can. It is cell.row too, which you can find in
Right.
in the same directory. I think that's better. I think I can read that now.
It's always a problem. Oh, I can share that. I can share that window. Here we go. How's that?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just a different syntax. It's the same code. It's using a Python-like indenting, meaningful indenting instead of the curly braces. I know some people might not like that style, but if you like Python, you'd probably be comfortable with this. So it's just a translation, a simple translation. And the code that translates that is, oh gosh, I know. Let's do it this way. Okay, this should work because this will be bigger. Okay, so if we go to mod specs, this is the syntax. The original syntax Rholang Mercury is what I based this on. So I actually used Modsplan to translate the Rholang Mercury version of the syntax to this. Is that visible?
Yep. For me, it is at least.
Big enough? So this is Modsplan's grammar. And it's pretty much the same as the Rholang Mercury. I've commented out some stuff just to get it working. And so that along with a token definition allows Modsplan to compile
the alternative syntax, right?
it translates anything to an alternative syntax. So in here, whoops. Okay. In here, there are several examples of that. So for instance, there's this select example. And sheesh. Trying to figure out how to get both of them on the same.
I don't think it'll be doable with just sharing one Chrome screen. We can flip back and forth though.
Right. Okay. So here's the compiled translation to the row 2 version of it. And yes.
So yeah, I think should we just like look at one of those translations a little bit more and why you sort of had this alternative syntax and what you think it shows better or why it would make things easier than the current syntax?
Okay, so so the first thing is I thought it was pretty unfamiliar to programmers, the send and the receive syntax. Just a little bit complicated. The for looks like a loop, for instance. I mean, I understand in Scala, people are familiar with that. But I was just looking for a more compact, cleaner syntax, basically. So I've translated the receive for into a when clause. And the repeated receive would be called whenever. That's in the syntax.
Yeah, it's a bit clearer than a arrow with or a equal sign.
Right. And the thing about that arrow is that you know, you could easily write a for. Let me bring up an example. Maybe this one has it. No, that one doesn't. You could have a for with several receives, and you could write one with this arrow, with the single arrow, and you could have another receive with a double arrow, and that would not compile. That would be an error.
Yep.
So I thought it should be clear from the keyword. Yeah, here, this is the best. Yeah, all right. I thought it should be clear from the keyword, so that's
Right, because you kind of, the way that the syntax is forcing you to write multiple arrows when you're doing multiple receives, but you could just say like whenever this from this, this from this, this from this.
right. So I'm just using this dot receive because I think it's easier if you see the channel name first and then the receive and send, and then the arguments like this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Awesome.
I mean, I could say more about it, but that's kind of the basics.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Yeah, so I think the idea is that, you know, like hopefully, right, we could have multiple presentations of Rholang, different ways for people to write it, and maybe, you know, maybe there's a syntax that's easier for people coming from, you know, Java development or Python development. That's possible.
Yeah. So mainly my effort is aimed at having different versions for people to look at and debate about what they'd like the real syntax to be, because it makes it very easy to change it. You know, I can just modify this and you can see a change immediately, and look at different. You know, I just want to show what it looks like to compile it.
Sure.
Uh-oh. Got one small problem here.
All right. Well, while you're figuring that out, does anyone else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, sure.
This is Kayvon. I have a question. Can we go back to the actual Rholang code? This is I mean,
Here.
I still have a hard time with when we use new and when we don't use new in terms of names and contracts.
Okay. I'll do that here. Do you want to stop your screen share for a little bit, Davi, and then I'll. So you want to go back to the Rholang that was presented by Rinke there?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. Yeah, so are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and the question is, when do you use new versus when do you not use new?
Correct.
Okay, so I guess there's kind of two places, I guess, where like variables can come into play, right? So there's variables that are you're sort of binding to when you're receiving values. Those are sort of variable definitions that are happening, you know, in this block, right? So here, value is a variable that is sort of defined in this whole for block. So that's one way to do a variable definition, and that's like our only binding operator outside of new. So that defines variables in that scope. If you're sending on something, or if you're sending something, or receiving on something, right? You will need to have to new that name, because otherwise, if hello world isn't newed up here, then we wouldn't know this string hello world, you know, unless there is, you know, it's sort of like in the global environment at this point, that name. It's not bound to anything.
So Jake, how can you call hello world on line 7 when we're outside of the lexical scope that started on line 1? Does hello world exist on line 7?
So,
or maybe that brace is.
No, I think this brace is in the wrong spot. Yep.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Yeah, I was just trying to type out Rinke's program as he was going here.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
Yep. But yeah, the yep, it's in the same scope.
So in this case, on line 1, you say new hello world, and
yep.
at this point, it's just a name. We don't know, and then you bind that name to a contract. I understand that new brings this variable name into scope. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
My problem is the relationship between the new world on line 1 and contract on line 2. I don't quite appreciate the correlation there yet.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So the whenever we're specifying a contract, what we're actually specifying is a listener on a specific set of names. So in this case, we're specifying a listener on whatever's bound to hello world that's expecting sort of one message to come in. So we, you could do a contract on like this, the name defined by the string hello world here, right?
Right.
If you wanted. But the problem with that is you don't, it's sort of bad practice to construct listeners on names where anyone could send anything, right? You want to control, who can access your contract, right? Because if you can just write down the name like this, write down the string hello world and specify a listener on it, anyone else can write a program where they can write the string hello world and listen on the same name and receive the messages that were intended for you. So what you need to either have this wrapped in some sort of, it can be a public name that's registered in the like name registry that's being talked about, that's sort of tied to like DNS names and IANA. Or you can specify this new name and then only give out that name to the processes that you trust are going to sort of use it correctly. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Any other like follow-up questions there, or what other questions do you have about that? Or anyone have about this hello world example?
I have one more. Can you run this?
Maybe. Yep.
So we didn't see it here. I don't quite know why we didn't get anything in the standard out.
Oh, yeah, it's just not implemented here in rchain.cloud.
Okay.
I don't think that's right. I think you can get it sometimes says an output, just like it says evaluating storage contents completed.
Jake, actually, it is implemented in Archie.cloud.
Oh, okay. Maybe is it? Am I writing standard out wrong? Is it like that?
No, you're not. It's uncapitalized.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not getting it on Chrome then.
Do you on line 2? Is that right? Don't you have to change it to just hello world?
Yep, you're right.
I only know that because you just explained it to me.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So on the output, why do we have the @ sign there?
Yes, because when you send a process, and when you receive a name. So sort of when the send meets the receive, whatever process was being sent gets quoted. So this is code, and it gets packaged up so that it can't sort of reduce or change anymore, and then gets sent over the channel and is bound on the other side. And then you can decide to run that code if you want, or you can sort of modify it, inspect it, that sort of stuff.
I see. Thanks.
Yep. Cool. We got like 4 minutes left.
I can show you the compiler.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Okay, is that visible?
Yep.
Okay, I have to leave for now. Goodbye.
See ya.
Yes? Oh, bye. So here I've told it to compile cell.row, and here's the version in the row 2 syntax, and then I can run a syntax tree on that. And this is what you see. It's parsed it. Cell get set state here. And then the when clause is a receive with a receipt, get return. A little hard to read this, but yeah, I can actually ask it to show more information. No, okay, sorry.
Yeah. There's a
Anyway.
reason there's a reason that that computers parse languages, right? And we don't do this by hand.
Yeah. So here's compiling this make cell one. So that's just compiling it and showing the code. You can do. That's the original code there. That one. So yeah, so I can translate any code, any piece of Rholang. Well, no, not anyone. There were a couple examples that had some problems, like here's one. This is just an excerpt out of a longer, I forget which one it is, but it does not compile that. Compile TCC. Gotta show a negative example. So my syntax does not handle this construct here with a quote of a proc with a parallel in there, quite like that. So there's still work to be done, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's
cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So yeah, thanks everyone for thanks Davi and Rinke for chipping in to present some stuff this week. I think what I'm hoping to do is next week start in on some K-framework stuff, unless other people have thoughts.
I think that sounds great. What would you like us to have prepared to get the most out of that? Like, should we have K-framework installed locally? And I saw there's something similar to rchain.cloud, but it was an older version of K-framework. So what are you thinking in that regard?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually struggling with my installation right now, getting any examples to compile. So yeah, and I was trying to work on sort of the latest commit of the latest. I can't tell if it's released or unreleased version of K-framework. So yeah, I'm hoping to sort of get some more work done early next week, and hopefully by like Monday or Tuesday have something out for you to hopefully have something installed so that we can just get writing examples right away. I'm also planning on, all whenever I do like environment setup work, I personally just do it all in Docker. So it might just be as simple as, having Docker installed so you can run the Docker environment that I create. And then we can make sure that we're all on the same page with the same version of things. So
cool. Okay, cool. That sounds good.
Yeah. but yeah, I'm hoping we can just start right on in with sort of going back to the beginning to Milner's paper, and then taking our constructs and putting them in K-framework. All right. Well, if no one has anything else, then thanks for joining in.
I will try to post some stuff at the developers forum, the RChain forum.
Yeah, that'd be great.
People that want to take a look at it some more. And Modsplan has its own website. It's just modsplan.com. Just put it in chat here.
And I'll make sure those links get up on the GitHub as well, repo where all these we're recording this course information, and up on the YouTube channel as well. So, all right, awesome. Thanks everyone. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, guys.